me, Viktor Dmitrievich Huliganov, coming to you at end of the year 2010. For some people it is the end of decade. For example, Tony Blair, he wanted to do a millennium about 10 years ago. He make a special things for millennium, even though the year before was in fact millennium and the year before now was beginning of new decade. We got to the end of a decade of this, in a sense, to 1 to 10 is like a first decade, and it's easier to think about it this way, that now we're going into 11 forward, it's like the next decade. So mathematically perhaps was better to think last year about it, but it's more easily, more kind of what is the word, probably intuitive. It's probably more intuitive to think about new decade starting basically today, tomorrow. This is Huliganov's end of year message, New Year's greetings to everybody, Happy New Year's for 2011. Wanted to just say a little bit about targets for New Year and say thank you as well for all of those of you who gave up your times to look at my shit on this channel. It's a very big thank you to all of you, because if nobody would look at it, there's no point to do. In fact, it's not strictly true, because even if nobody look, at least I have the memory for myself and my family for the futures. But it's a much more interactive and pleasant and motivating when you see that many people are also joining in the fun and appreciating the various travels and the videos and the humor, attempted humor. Some people see the humor, I don't understand myself why anything there would be funny, but people say the funny, okay, it's up to you. Basically if you enjoy, then it is very good, and it also motivates for me to make it more. So everybody probably watching, wondering one big question: when is coming back the rest of the courses for Huliganov, Russian course? Well, and will it come back? Well, I can only tell you this: it's difficult to do because of lack of time and space continuum, because you need both time and space to do these courses. Okay, you will notice a lot of my stuff, even the stuff I'm doing traveling, is because I'm going there anyway. I have a lot of work to do, I have to go to places, and I find there's something interesting. I carry the camera with me, I'm taking out the camera and just filming in an impromptu way. I never make the script, I'm never planning what I'm going to say more than a few seconds ahead, and it's really just this: switch the camera on and something will happen. So sometimes I'm taking the camera for a walk, people coming with me on the walk, it's like a company from you, thank you for this company, and it's easy to do. And sometimes even these very easy videos getting more views and more appreciation than the course got, when the course need an awful lot of work. So if you want to have the video course going for the Huliganov Russian course, yes, I want to do it, but when will I find the time to do is not something I'm know at the moment, because I'm telling you what, we have got a lot of work to do in the company. I'm very working all the time, still in the two countries, from Czech Republic and Poland. For this winter coming up, I got more work than ever, because we got a lot extra to do. We got to really push. We're coming out of recession gradually, very gradually, but it's happening in Poland, not yet so much in Czech Republic, but you can really feel in Poland coming really a push forward against the green shootings like this. So if you have this, you got to take advantage, you got to work very hard. And when I'm at home, I got the children's, I got, you know, the problems. I want to watch television, maybe maybe my wife like to watch TV till 11 o'clock, and afterward when they switching off the television, and I'm like now is 1 o'clock at night, because I'm only getting time after everybody else go to bed, and if I'm too loud or anything, then they're waking up, etc. So best for me to go to Prague to do when I'm in Prague. So I took the computer, one computer old from me, to Prague, so that I will do a few, hopefully in the winter. But I'm only going to Prague for 30%, 40% of working time. So, but it's there, and the books are there, and the notes. First I'm going through the old films that I made, and making a note of what I taught so far, because I just can't remember it. And then I'm making a plan of how to go forward. And this time the lesson will be more planned, so I know exactly what will be in this lesson, in the next lesson, in the next lesson after that, what will be the joke, what will be the song, and then I will make them according to the plan. Before it was all in my head because I remembered what I did before. Now I don't really remember it anymore. So it's a problem that I have. Not that I don't want to do it, I want to do it, but it's not easy. And if anybody won't help me in it, you can help. You can tell me, I will help you with this or with this, and maybe this will also be a big help for me to be able to do I've just been told that in Skype somebody got a birthday today, but this somebody, I don't even know who that is. It's a funny thing, isn't it? People tell you about the birthdays, it's people you don't even know who they are. It's a funny old world we're living in this time of 2010 to 2011. So, what will happen in 2011? Well, I will tell you a little bit about what will happen in the world. In the world, there will be a continuation of the tendency to have strange things going on, because it's been a strange weather anomalies. For example, last year in Poland was already in early part of year worst flooding in 120 years, and incidentally that's the length of time since they last had as much snow in Atlanta, Georgia, as they just had here at the end of the year. Again, 120 years. So for 120 years they didn't have as bad a floods in Poland as they did in the spring. But then they also went and they had additional flooding once and twice again after that. If you had been watching my channel carefully, you would know that even earlier on, and excuse me one moment, I hope you didn't hear that, earlier on in the year, it was told by me already that it is a big problem for flooding and warning about the floods. And what happened? Short time afterward, worse flooding in 120 years, followed by more flooding after that, after they already announced what this past flood was, 120 years worst flood of Poland. Then in the same year, second and the third waves of further floodings. After I have warned against it in the earlier videos of the year. If you don't believe, you can go and you can look what I have written and said in this channel. Same thing happened when I'm predicting recession. About 2 months before Freddie Mac, Fannie Mae, I go on and I make a special rant about it. Didn't do it before or didn't do it since, explaining is a recession coming up, okay? And really finally only today I am saying that recession is starting to go away, that things are starting to normalize. This is after 2.5 years later. In the meantime, people have been saying, oh, is it happening, is it not happening, and what have you. I was about it. Or at least I have told people still to be careful, because it's going to be bad for a while longer. Only till today, I'm first time saying that it's coming back. But it's not going to be same world as was world before. certain things will be the same and some things will not be the same, and the things that will not be the same will be different. So you got to work out for yourselves what is the same and what will be different. But certain certainties are not so certain anymore in the post-recession world what we're coming into. So, and it won't be fast. It's not, like I said, at the moment it's just these green shootings shooting up around the place. But if you want to be one of the people which will profit from this, you will have to really apply yourself, because there's a lot of people what got really struggles through recession. Thankfully more people got helped, and people didn't, there wasn't so many really in past times. There was less help for ordinary people given by governments. People did get help privately from one another, but some people who couldn't get any kind of help, but they had no real choice. There was so much suicidings and what have you. Whereas less so in this recession, people have really dug the heels in, they got together, they make a family stronger. And for those of the businessmen who still got their wife not left them, good for them. It's very good if you lose a job but your wife doesn't leave you, because you can say this: when a wife leaves the husband just because he don't have job anymore, because he lost in recession, you can say that this woman was like single client prostitute. Okay, and if that is you, if you're a wife who have been with a husband, or on the other hand could be a husband what was with the wife, don't take this as a sexist thing. Okay, and even if you weren't married, I'm not trying to be religiously moralistic here. If you were with somebody and you live with somebody and you were loyal to them, as long as they had the income, and then when they lost the income, you say, oh, this person not interesting for me anymore, not making the money, I'm off, I'm going back to mommy. Sorry, I tell you this very, very gently and very politely, but you have not been proper wife or husband, you have been single client prostitute. Okay, just so that you know what you are, I'm telling you. Okay, if you don't know what those words means, then you can look them up in dictionary or on Google Translate or whatever. I'm not here to give adult education classes. So, well, actually I am, but that's beside the point right now. Anyway, talking about what will happen in 2011, going to be some green shootings, going to be some difficulties, weather anomalies. You know, listen to me, this oil business, okay, in Gulf of Mexico, that's not stopped yet, okay, and it isn't stopping, is not finished yet. What happened is, people think that oil is some kind of a product of evolution, that it used to be full of little animals and plantings. It's not true. It's a mineral like any other mineral. Earth is making many kind of rocks. You can get them, you can get a fine marbles and stones of all different kinds. And some of the stones, what is made by the earth, is liquids too. Sometimes it's just a pure water, what is under the ground. Pure water with almost no salt in it, even though it's in aquifers under the sea. This earth produced this in all of the funny different things what the earth can produce in different layers. Some of it is just pure water, and some of it is also hydrocarbons, like oil. It's a mineral. It is a mineral like any other, made inside the earth by God. Because every stone you open up and look inside the stone, you see little patterns. This is the signature of God. Individually, in every area of the earth, you see the impact of God. If you don't believe, you can read a poem by Anthony Hopkins, Pied Beauty, Glory be to God for dappled things, and a nice glass of Chianti. Because, you know, Hopkins understands this. God pervades, okay? And it's also says something like the world is charged with the grandeur of God. It will shine out. I can't really remember exact words of this poem, but basically, if you want to know how is the creator reflecting himself in the world in a poetic way, then I cannot say more than to look at the works of Anthony Hopkins. He's a great man before his times, okay, very great poet and gentleman, very great. I'm not saying that I agree with his theology in all matters, okay, and you must be careful not to confuse with Gerard Manley Hopkins of the famous Hannibal Lecter and the Joe Black meetings, okay. You must be sure not to get them too muddled up at all, because otherwise you will not get interesting things like Margaret, art thou grieving over Golden Grove and leaving? You will just get like that instead, and you don't want to get those too muddled up, so be careful. Anyway, you read the Hopkins poems and you see the earth around you, even every stone. Paul say, if we did not preach, even the stones will shout the gospel. Because even a stone, even a rock, show the Creator and the Redeemer. Even any rock or stone, if you look at it in Christian way, in a Christian's eyes, you see the story in it. And under the world, what is there? This oil is made deep in the earth, and it wants to come out. It wants to come towards human beings. It is made to give them energy. It is made for us to use at this time. Yes, it's difficult to get hold of some of it, but it's coming up. And in Saudi Arabia it's coming up, and so a lot of it is there. And in Texas it was coming up, and people found it. You only had to tap with your hammer on the ground, or with a mallet or something, and you would get a gusher coming up at immense pressure, because it wants to be up. It's made there, down there, and it wants up. Okay, it wants to come up to us. And what you got under Caribbean is the next one. Now, Soviet science understood long time ago, oil abiotic, oil not biotic. That's why in Russia people know very, very well that pig oil is a big nonsense. But because we need to use so much money from oil revenues, from petroleum revenue tax, we are needing to also go along with all of this talking about pig oil and the increase of oil prices over the next few years by about 30%, because it will greatly strengthen the Russian economy and the economy of Venezuela and all these other places with Nigeria highly reliant on oil. If the price will be something like $120 a barrel of Brent crude, of course it will be good. Of course no Russian government is going to say, well, actually we know that oil is abiotic. But if you look in annals, if you look down in the annals of Soviet Academy of Sciences, you can see that it was proven by people in Moscow many years ago, even after West was still continually thinking, because of theory of evolution and everything what you got over there, that it must be little animals, and therefore they're only looking in certain places where they know these little animals should be. Whereas in the Soviet Union they say, well, look, practically we got whole Siberia here, biggest stretch of earth on the planet, and underneath Siberia, if you dig deep enough, you will find oil almost everywhere there, almost everywhere. You just have to dig deeper than previously thought by people believing in biotics source of oil. So in point of fact, there is more oil. It's just a bit more expensive to get there, but there is much more oil than we will ever need. Okay, it's not a problem with oil. But if you tell people that, then they will say, okay, why we pay so much for it then? Let's go ahead and burn, baby burn, disco inferno. Let's take the oil and burn it. This is not any good either, because it will obviously make things dirty if you do this. Yeah, you can talk about carbon. Carbon is not the big issue that people say. It's a way to make the money from people. Government talking about carbon so that they can make money from people in a stealth tax, but even more so that they can say to India and to China, don't you have the same industrial resolutions what we have, because you can't do it. We could do it because we didn't know it would be carbon. But now we know is a carbon problem for humanity, then you can't do it anymore. Sorry China, sorry India, we're very sorry. We've had industrial resolutions, but you cannot. It's not your turn. You say it's your turn now. Sorry, not your turn, because it's a carbon. It's carbon now. Wasn't issue for us. Okay, we make the planet dirty, but it's, you know, we didn't know. But now that we know, we can't do it anymore. So sorry China, sorry India, not allowed to do this. Cut your emissions, make everything slowly. Making a tax on your carbons. You must buy the credits, of course, we are the ones who are selling them. And so basically it's all a big con. I'm not saying that we should dirty this planet, of course not. But carbon is actually a clean thing. Whereas what we're doing is we're still using plastics and still dumping them in the sea, and nobody's doing anything about it. These things are actually quite poisonous, and they're getting into the systems that are causing loss of species, or threatening to species. Habitat destruction, various parts of the world, inadequate controls over habitat, so that species are still being lost. All of these things would be very worthy use of time from governments really seriously interested in saving the world. They should be taking prisoners from the prisons, put them on prison ships, sending them out to mid-Atlantic and also to mid-Pacific, and recycling there the plastics what is floating in the sea and currently harming the life what is out there. That's what should be being done. They need to do this, and not to worry so much about particular carbon cycle what always was and always will be. So, what will happen? Unfortunately, we've got more problems coming up in the Gulf, because that oil is going to come out. So expect it. Also expect that the use of the solvent that is being added to it is more harmful than leaving it to do what it naturally would do. Okay, adding that solvent is problematic. That solvent is very toxic. It should not happen anymore. It should leave the oil to do what it needs to do. There's no point to blaming BP, because BP was trying to catch this oil. It was coming up anyway. BP did not stand there with a magic wand and make this oil come from the center of the earth to the top. Okay, it's coming up, and as it comes up with tremendous volcanic force, and you happen to have your tiny little needle in the place, and you make that little prick in the pimple, then out it all comes, and you're sitting on it. So BP in the wrong place in the wrong time, if we're talking about getting the blame for a basic volcano of oil, it would appear anyway. How you know? Look carefully in the reports, you'll see that even places where they haven't been drilling, oil is actually forcing its way through. And how would that occur? From simple drilling in another place? It wouldn't occur. This is symptomatic of the fact that the oil was there anyway. BP was in a great place just to take blame for this. BP is accepting to a degree, passively in my opinion, a lot of blame for something which should not really have necessarily been blame of BP, But you see, what can they say if they start to say, oh, but oil is coming up, there's a lot of oil coming up, there's lots of this happening all over the world, then of course oil price will sink. So they just have to carry the can, the oil can. That wasn't a very good joke actually, but this is what I'm telling you. Expect, if you are living in near to Caribbean, expect that unfortunately you have not seen the end, you've not seen the backside yet of this problem. Okay, so you be ready for that. Thank you, Pushkin, for commentaries. Next thing else happening in Caribbean. Gulf Stream slowing down. Okay, whereas North Atlantic Greenland current is able to stop now, did this for 2 weeks last year in 2010. That would cause the terrible weather conditions in England. This also have had knock-on effect for this year, even though it's not yet time where Gulf Stream would normally be reaching. Gulf Stream doesn't normally reach until a little bit later on, but already now you see, because Gulf Stream is so weak, the usual early winter in England in the past 30 years or more, when we have a strong Gulf Streams, never any snow before Christmas. White Christmas was kind of funniest song from film. We never saw White Christmas. All my childhood never saw White Christmas in England growing up. Now is a big snow all through December. All problem why? Gulf Stream weakened. Now it's not the first time in the history it happened. Every so often Gulf Stream is not a kind of always on, never turn off. So for a few years, maybe 10 years, maybe 20, maybe 50 years, expect the Gulf Stream will be simply not strong enough to reach to Britain when it's being countered by the Greenland drift. Greenland current coming down is switching it off, stopping it from getting to Britain. You will find that things like places where they put in palm trees up in Torbay or in Inverview Gardens in Scotland, this is not sustainable anymore. Probably you'll find that this will need to be put under glass if they are to live. But you have to understand winter, okay? Britain not used to it, but you got to get used to it. I have a blog called Huliganov TV. If you're looking up on it, Huliganov's Winter Tips for British, you'll see I wrote down a lot of things. It's like a whole pamphlet telling what you can do to help you to survive in the colder conditions. Obviously, as a Rusky guy living in Poland, Russia, place like that, I can give you some practical advice on how to deal with the colder conditions. So please to read it and to educate yourself. Your winters are going to start to become much harder, okay? And these winters of your discontents will not be made the summer by the sons of York until about, well, March, April. And so from November till April, you're going to have to understand you're going to have the same kind of more difficult struggles with this that people have in East Europe. We kind of used to it, we kind of winning the struggles with it. You're going to have to get used to it. And so I try to give some practical help. You will find the article. I will make link at the bottom to the article so you can all go and read it and to digest it. If you're from UK, you can discuss it there if you like. So basically, I've got this blog called Huliganov TV. I'm putting up on it all of the old video from this channel until I get through with it. From next year, I'm going to be putting up as well the video as I edit to this channel, as I edit here, and on top of that there will be about as much, if not more, of normal blog comments, and you can engage with this. You can please subscribe to it and discuss on it. I want to get the community going there. If you want questions about linguistics, that's the best place to get my attention quickly. There are also the groups which have existed and will exist, but I'm trying to bring it all together in one place because there were several groups existing around Huliganov, and I would like to try to bring it together so that it's easier for me to manage and to give a proper attention to people who want to ask me some things and I don't notice for maybe 2-3 weeks or a month or something, people think I am ignoring them. Of course, when I say I'm busy, it means I'm very busy. If it's all in one place, if people are asking me on Huliganov.tv, then you know I can see it. I'm there. That's one place. I'm there all the time. Probably there more these days than even here, because I got plenty of videos to play out for YouTube channel. But I decided ever since I had my 1000th video that what I'm going to do is a special rule. Until the previous video hasn't had 100 views, I'm not putting up the next one unless I'm pretty sure that it's well on course to get 100 views. Because in the past I just put them out as I make them, and some of them they didn't really get as many views as they would have, because they get pushed down by the other ones and nobody watched. So now I'm only when I'm sure that either they got 100 or they well on their way to get 100, then I'm put up the next one. So I'm pacing it, and the result is that I'm still back in the summer, back many months back, 4 months back, because the pace of putting up the videos is very slow. Now I've got so much footage, I've got footage enough for about 100 films more that I haven't put up, but they will be put up. How quickly they go up depend sorry, how quickly they go up depend completely on viewers. So if you watch the films, then if there is 100 of you that watch everything that go up, then of course it means that the next one will come along quicker. If people lose interest, then it's a signal for me to signal for me to people not so interested, do something else, do the writing. I wanted to be a writer, you know. I didn't want necessarily to be filmmaker. I like being filmmaker, but I wanted to be a writer, like Dostoevsky or Tolstoy. You say you're more Tolstoy than Tolstoy, but it is a kind of joke you will only get if you're learning Russian. So basically, if you're watching this, please subscribe. If you didn't subscribe, please watching all the time putting up, and it will be more. If you're watching less, it will be less frequent, less of it, less likely to be what you want. It's more likely those things are to be delayed, because I want to respond to the demand. That's it. This is not a blackmailing you in any way, because anybody doing anything is a demand and supply. This is the normal thing. You don't pay for anything in this case, but it's still demand and supply. It's a scarce resource, namely the time, your time and my time. So is demand and supply. The same rules, even without money, because it's always referred to the scarce resource. If you learn the economic, you will know that it's all about the scarce resource. That's what was not understood by Marx, who start off with his Das Kapital and talk about the good. The good is no good. What he should have been talking about is the scarce resource, instead of which he starts off with talking about the good as the basis, and he doesn't even properly define the good in the Das Kapital. So the whole system based on Das Kapital is completely wonky and wrong, but still managed to completely screw up Russia and half the world for a century. Thank you, Karl Marx, for nothings. Anyway, scarce resources. That means I shouldn't be too long with this video, because we all got a scarce resource of times. So let me just say what targets will be for this channel for coming up year. Okay, so starting with the number of videos, I think I got it all written down in a little book here. Number of videos. Well, 2 years ago at the end of year I had 878 videos, and I make the target to get to 1000 videos this year. Well, in fact I put up 1040 videos, and the target for next year is 1200 videos, which means another 160 videos, which is on average, I suppose, a little bit more than 2 a week, but not quite 3 a week. So that's roughly what the target would be. And of course, in the last year I make about, well, more than that, really, a little bit more than that. And in fact, the footage for most of that is already in existence, just a question of frequency of putting up. I'm going to obey the 100 rule that I've started since I had 1,000 videos. So for the last 40 videos I've already been doing it, and it kind of give me a nice pacings for the work, and I will continue with that. So views, I got 2 years ago, and or rather I shouldn't say 2 years ago, I got 1 year ago at the end of the year 2,173,000, so 2.173 million views on the channel. And so I'm making the target for 3 million views in 2010, and I went past this, thankfully, thanks to you. 3,000. I got about, well, in fact I'm making this on, it is 30th in the mornings, and so far it's just under 3,020,000, so 3.02 million. So I want to go the whole way. That was really near to, I would say, probably a little over 820,000 in the course of the year. So I'm going to try and get 1 million views. I'm asking you for 1 million views in 2011, so that I can have get through the 4 million mark. So it's nearly 1 million views, because I'm over 3 million now. But so to get to 4 million is the aim for 2011, and then I will try to get to 5 million by end of 2012 most probably. Also, I will revise that depending on how well I do in 2011. Then how many subs? Well, thankfully so far I got till now 3,410. I intended to have 3,500, so I didn't make the subs what I hoped to make. So I got 3,410 people subscribed to me. I would like to get to 4,200 by next year. That is about the same increase for next year as I had over last year. Last year at year end I had 2,587 subs. So those are the 3 targets. I got a whole lot of targets for all kinds of different things that don't affect this particular part of life though. Some of them are targets for language learning. I might talk about them more on the Huliganov TV. Some of them are targets for the blog too. I also got a business blog, foracy.com. Please to watch this too. If you're interested in business in Eastern Europe, then that will keep you abreast of all of that. If you can subscribe to this and also visit it, you will be doing me good turn. So please to keep watching. If you like what you see, please keep to watching. If you don't like it, you can always say, I don't mind. You can have a crack at me if you like, I don't mind. You go ahead. Please don't insult anybody else appearing in my videos. I don't like that, but you can always insult me if you want to. You can call me the names if you like. I don't really care. I'm kind of very thick skin. Look, I got a very kind of thick like that. You see, I don't care. I like compliments, but they don't go to my head, hopefully. And insults, I either can have a laugh or enjoy to have a little fight with somebody, or, you know, if they're not particularly good insults, not particularly well thought out ones, then I kind of ignore them. So far, just for insulting me, nobody got blocked. People got blocked for spamming, people got blocked for insulting other people in my videos, but nobody got blocked for insulting me, and nobody got blocked for stating their viewpoints. So please comment all you like, say what you want. In my videos you can put your thumbs up, you can put your thumbs down on the film, on the comments. You can comment what you like, and very little chance of being blocked, only if you spam or insult somebody else in the videos, or you'd have to be very extreme and illegal, and then it probably won't be me doing it. I noticed some people have really had a go at me, and I have not reported them, but they ended up getting their channel taken away because probably somebody else reported. I didn't do it. I don't do it. Okay, I'm not netcopper. So basically, you got freedom. You got freedom here, and you got truth. You got truth on this channel. You got realism, you got truth, you got freedom. You got hopefully some justice, and you got some, hopefully, a bit of humor, lighten the spirit, but you got a real reality. This is reality TV, and it is Huliganov TV, and it is hopefully something where you wanna be, and we will see you in 2011, and please to make me known what you think. Bye bye, thank you for coming to the videos, and see you again next year. Happy New Year, с Новым годом!